The Bug Bux podcast.
Got everything I've ever always wanted within this, right? I exited my company and I'm now a millionaire, but then also it's like I've now lost everything. I lost tons of relationships within the pest control industry, right? Like, barely anybody would want to talk to me, and my wife leaves me and we're separated. And that moment there, finally, it all just broke.
So today, for the first time coming back, I have Solomon Earhart. So just for the record, Solomon is the original co-founder with me of Bug Bux. So he's the founder and former CEO of Arusa Pest Control, which he grew into one of the fastest growing companies in the industry before leading it to a successful 8-figure exit to private equity.
There was a lot going on, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I was really just trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people, and the match was just burning out, and I tried to ignore it as long as I possibly could. We were having some issues with partnerships. I started drinking, and next thing I know, I blacked out, and I woke up the next morning and I had no clue what happened. And later during the day at one of the first events, someone pulled me aside and told me some stuff I had done. I just felt like an immense amount of shame.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bug Bux podcast. I'm Allan Draper. I've got a good one today. Make sure you listen all the way to the end. We're going to do a recap. We're talking about stuff today that's going to affect your life. We're talking about stuff that's super real, stuff that hopefully you feel something during this episode. So make sure you listen all the way to the end. Before we get into it, hey, check out Bug Bux Plus. It's on the school platform right now. You get a free 7-day trial. Just check it out. Go in there, check out our courses, check out the community. For us, it's all about connection, making sure that you have access to the resources you need to grow your pest control company. So today, for the first time coming back, I have Solomon Earhart. So just for the record, Solomon is the original co-founder with me of Bug Bux. So a lot of you listeners may not know that unless you listen to some of those older episodes. And if you haven't, make sure you go back and check those out from when he was co-hosting with me. So he's the founder and former CEO of Arusa Pest Control, which he grew into one of the fastest growing companies in the industry before leading it to a successful 8-figure exit to private equity. In 2023, he founded Growable Ventures, a private equity firm focused on acquiring and scaling pest control companies, with Peach Pest Co. in Tucson and Obex Pest Defense in Denver. They're already in that portfolio, and a goal of growing that to 10 plus companies nationwide. After navigating his own mental health struggles following the Arusa sale, Solomon now builds intentionally, staying disciplined about what he adds to his plate so that growth never comes at the expense of his well-being. So with that, Solomon, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Allan. Man, I'm super excited to be back and with all the Bug Bux guys and gals. So thanks for having me.
So what's funny is, like, you and I used to do episodes, just us, where we would just kind of riff, dude. And so, but it's been a few years. I think you have a cool journey, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, because, we were working on Bug Bux at the time, right around that time when you sold Arusa. We're working on that exit. So I just kind of wanted to hear, like, for me, the high level stuff, like what was going on in your life? What are some of the successes, some of the failures? Like, just kind of bring it back to the old days where you and I would just riff on stuff.
Yeah,
see where this takes us.
Yeah, I'd love to. Dude, obviously at that time, man, there was a lot going on, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And I think when I really boil everything down, it's like a lot of it was really just ego driven, right? Like I was really just trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people and trying to accomplish these big things. And I think it was just not internally really regulated with my internal compass, but I didn't know it at the time. And so it just led to a lot of, I think, things and real probably just like self-destruction. And so what that kind of looked like is obviously like we were working together and I had goals of like being this person that everyone knew in the industry and could really like bring a spotlight to door-to-door sales within the original or within like the pest control industry, kind of like the NPMAs and stuff like that, which, at the time, like door-to-door was kind of like wasn't really looked upon favorably, in the
Yeah.
industry, right? And I think a lot of that has changed now. But at the time, like I really had this big goal of like being this big figure in that industry and bringing some light to that. And a lot of that was, as I look at it now, was ego driven, right? And so I was putting myself in a lot of those situations in the rooms and at the events and things like that, which really didn't, when I look at it, didn't sit well with me. Like I had a really hard time even doing it, like social anxiety, just like, the pressure and stress of like putting myself in those rooms was hard. But I pushed through and did that. We obviously did the Bug Bux and I was excited to jump onto that and do that with you. But even then it was like, I was putting a lot of energy and time into that and still also working and running an 8-figure company and leading that and the stress and of running a big door-to-door sales program and stuff like that. So there was just a lot of things, and like the match was just burning out, and I tried to ignore it as long as I possibly could. But at the time we were having some issues with partnerships, within Arusa, and I think that was what was probably like weighing on me the most, right? And I mean, when you build something from scratch, like it means so much to you. I mean, and all the guys and girls listening, who started their own companies, I mean, they know it's like, this is my baby. Like I built this thing from nothing, right? Yeah, so it was so personal to me, and we were having issues where a partner and I just weren't seeing eye to eye on how the company should be run and what our vision and our goals should be and how we should kind of move forward in the direction. And so we were really arguing about that. And there was a lot of just threats of like, me needing to leave the company and, so he could get his vision across and kind of move Arusa in the direction that he wanted it to go. And me dealing with trying to figure that out and how can I protect myself and how can we, just navigate that relationship, and try to figure out how I could, not lose what I had built. Right. And so I was dealing with a lot of stress with that. And I'm just on top of working and putting myself in all these events and all these things and really just not living probably the healthiest lifestyle at that time. Right. It's just like working like crazy hours, not eating well, drinking tons of energy drinks, living off caffeine and Adderall. And my health was just bad. Like obviously, not dealing with mental health issues and past traumas and stuff like that. Were kind of, surfacing as well too. Right. So like looking back now, I realized like I really did have depression and I had a lot of PTSD from like childhood and things that I just wasn't dealing with in a healthy way. And what I look at now is I was basically dealing with that as in I just need to keep growing. I just need to keep building these things. I need to prove myself. I need to be the best. I need to build all these big things. These were all things that I was doing that was just basically trying to push the dealing with the depression, the trauma away. Like if I'm successful, then this stuff doesn't matter, right? So that was leading to ripples in the character, anxiety, stress, alarms, screaming that I'm not listening to. And, what we do is we typically will use substances to kind of try to numb that fire alarm that's going off, that's telling us, hey, look, something's wrong. Like we need to fix this. And, what you're doing is you're consuming caffeine to keep yourself pushing. You're taking Adderall to stay focused. At night after work, you're drinking some alcohol or, maybe smoking weed or whatever, taking other substances just to try to like keep moving and keep going and deal with the stress. But really what you're doing is you're just trying to numb that fire alarm that's telling you, hey, look, man, something inside is not right and we need to deal with this. And so that's what I was doing. I was burning the match, pretty aggressively because I was dealing with a lot of these things that were going on and I wasn't handling it correctly. And so with the stress of dealing with this partnership issue, I had a really bad TMJ. So my jaw would lock up on me and tense a lot. And so at the time too, I was, my doctor prescribed me some mild muscle relaxers that I was taking. And so I was taking those to just try to keep my jaw relaxed so I could chew and eat and kind of go about my day. But then I ended up being at one of these MPMA events, the legislative day, and a lot of people maybe have heard this story. And And I was obviously taking those muscle relaxers, and at one of the happy hours and after hours things, I started consuming some alcohol because, one, I get social anxiety too. So like being around all these people at these events was like really hard and triggering for me. And so I started drinking, and next thing I know, I blacked out, and I woke up the next morning and I had no clue what happened. And later during the day at one of the first events, leading up into that day, someone pulled me aside and told me some stuff I had done. And, I still don't really know exactly what I did, because I've heard some conflicting stories, but I did some stuff that just really wasn't appropriate as a man. And, that was a hard lesson to take. And so then obviously I sat down with the MPMA president and them, and I got kicked out of the executive leadership program I was in. And basically, at that time, man, I just felt like an immense amount of shame and regret. And it was a really hard moment at that time to kind of see everything I was working for and everything I was building kind of just collapse right before me. And obviously, you and I were partners at that time, and and even you had to reach out to me, and we had to end our partnership there. And it was tough, man. That was a really hard lesson to learn.
Dang, man, it's weird, like thinking back on it, and like from my perspective, because there were some pressures just because Bug Bux we're so out there. We're so vocal, just out in front of everybody, which a lot of times, and the average person doesn't understand this. There are pressures that come with whatever business, with whatever life you lead. There's pressures. But when you're like constantly on social media, producing podcasts, like in a lot of ways, you spokesperson for the industry, or at least, to some degree, dude, all that to say, like, and I got these pressures because I heard about it the next day. And dude, there's a part of me that has some guilt, dude, for, I thought I was doing what was best for Bug Bux. And by the way, back then, Bug Bux, Solomon and I were there was no money, by the way. This was like, we just did it for fun, which there's part of me that misses those days. Speaking of pressure, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, I wish I was there, man. I just told you before we hit the record button that I would have just freaking grabbed you, and you might have been flailing or whatever, or maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there, but just grabbed you and like I take you back to your hotel room, lock the freaking door, let you sleep it off. Yeah. And here's the thing, dude, is that who we're around matters so much.
Yeah.
It really, and I wasn't there, man.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, that's not something I've learned too, is it's like, I'm uncomfortable in those big public settings a lot of times because I'm around so many people I don't know. And so it gives me the anxiety. And from conversations I've had with other people since all of this stuff has happened, it's like, there's a lot of people that feel that same way. And that's where like, I now sometimes look back and I think, man, some of these industry events they're not put together in the best productive way, because these happy hours are such a big thing about them, with unlimited alcohol being served. And it's like, man, I've been at some of these events and I've seen some people who, I'm not going to name any names, but very important people in the pest control industry, get way too intoxicated.
Oh, man.
And like, even for one, like this guy, way older gentleman, very important in the industry. I was at an event in North Carolina. Dude tried to fight me in the bar, and like 6 people had to pull him away from me, just because we said a couple things to each other and he got really upset. And it's just like, I think there could be some different ways that those are approached, but like, obviously, alcohol is alcohol. It's such a very socially acceptable thing, and it's such a part of our environment, and I think I see some of these things that you're doing now with the Bug Bux Con and the Real House and Pest World stuff, and it's like you're putting these group of guys together that alcohol doesn't really need to be a thing. And yeah, maybe it is, but it's like these close groups of people where people can be much more comfortable and confident in what they're doing and who they're around, that maybe they don't feel that social pressure to drink as much.
Yeah. It's so because I was part of the legal world, by the way, lawyers drink a lot, right? Through law school, it's like this entire thing. And I was always the designated driver. I don't drink, obviously. But I was always around it, and, it was fine. In the legal field, and I think it's true of doctors too, I'm not sure, but it's talked about a ton, like substance abuse. And in continuing education that we do, in seminars, throughout law school, it's just, but in the pest control industry, it's not. We don't talk about outlets for our pressure. We don't talk about like mental issues or like struggles on that like emotional level. And so what do we have? We're left to our networks, like our small groups of people, which technically those should be the strongest, most meaningful, most impactful groups and exchanges anyway. But something needs to be said, and there needs to be something, and maybe Bug Bux fills this void. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it until now. We have to be able to like talk about stuff. Dude, the amount of pressure that I feel on a daily basis, I've just gotten so good. Like every once in a while, my wife will overhear, like I'll be walking around the house on speakerphone, and she'll be like, I don't know how you, just the stupidest stuff that just human beings do, technicians, partners, just being in the bug industry, probably any business, but this is the business that we're in. It's like, what do we do, man? Where do we turn? Like, why aren't we talking about this stuff? Why aren't we, like, I feel bad, bro. There's like, hindsight's 2020, right? But dude, you and I were talking almost on a daily basis, texting, we're recording podcasts. Like, dude, I don't know. I just feel bad, man. Like, why couldn't I been there,
Yeah. Well, it's not, you're not anyone to blame, man. I mean, obviously you were still there for me. And even after everything that happened, I mean, you were still one of the only people who like really were there for me and still kind of provided some support. So like, dude, I really appreciate that. And obviously it was something I had to deal with, and I mean, I think, like what you're saying, right? We deal with so much stuff in this industry. It's like we just kind of become really callous to that type of stuff, and we're still very ego-driven people, right? Where it's like when we are having conversations, it's like, what's your revenue at? What's your EBIT at? How's your business doing? How much growth are you at? How many sales are you putting on? We're not saying like, hey man, how are you? Like, how are you dealing with the stresses in life? How's your mental health? Like, when's the last time you took a break? When's the last time you checked in on yourself? Like those questions aren't being asked. And maybe that's the thing that we could do, is to start asking deeper questions that mean more than just, hey, how's the business going and how's your revenue? I think that's something we could start looking at.
If you run a pest control company, you already know calls don't come in when it's convenient. They come in when you're on a job after hours or when your team's already slammed. And every missed call, that's a lost customer. That's why more pest control companies are using same-day AI. It answers every call, qualifies the lead, and books the job automatically. So instead of playing phone tag, you're just stacking booked jobs. No missed calls, no wasted leads. Visit gosameday.com or DM us same day on Facebook. Yeah, because the flex is the opposite of that. The flex isn't, yeah, dude, I took a week off, went to California with my family, wherever, right? We went camping, took a time off. It was peace. That's not the flex. The flex is, dude, I put in freaking 70 hours this week. We've got 10 new technicians, like a technician wrecked a truck, lawsuit. Like, it's like, we love the pressure, dude. Like, at least we don't love it. We love telling other people we love it, right? Like, we love that, like, and it's addictive. And look, there's nothing wrong with growing a company, with having the desire to grow a company. There is nothing wrong with that. That's who I am. That's what I love. That's what a lot of people love. That's something that you love. It's like, why am I doing it? And am I doing it the right way? Because you were talking about how you guys were scaling so fast and you felt like doing that was filling this void, right, for you. It was helping you kind of distract yourself from some of the issues that were going on. And it's super telling when we ask ourselves, and I catch myself sometimes when I'm like, why am I even doing this, man? I don't got to do this. I don't have to put up with this. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, and it's like, dude, my mindset now is so different. And even just how I approach business, right? It's completely transformed and changed. And it's much healthier now, but it still took a long journey to get here, right? And so even after everything that happened at the MPMA, obviously from there, then that kind of accelerated the sale and pushed out of Arusa, right? It's like, then obviously my partner there had some ammo to hold against me to like kind of help push me out of the company, and you know, that was already happening, or something needed to already happen there anyways. I had already kind of made up the decision that, you know, once I had checked my ego at the door with Arusa, that it's like, look, if I'm going to do pest control, I'm going to build these companies. It doesn't have to be Arusa, right? It can be something else as well too, like another company. And so I then obviously made a decision like, look, I'm fine with us, you know, with me exiting the company, but like we need to sell it, and you know, I want to get paid so I can go off and do the next thing. And so at that time, it was a very challenging or like weird experience, right? It's like all this stuff had happened over here with the MPMA event, and me having that you know, thing with the alcohol and the substances there at that event, you know, falling out of Bug Bux. Now I'm exiting Arusa. We're selling Arusa. So it's like I've lost a lot, man. I've lost almost I lost everything that gave me what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like that gave me like validation, validation, like everything that made me who I was within the pest control industry had just been completely stripped away from me. So like the person of Solomon in the pest control industry was completely gone, but then also I just made millions of dollars. So it's like there's this weird feeling of like, gosh, I feel great. Like I just succeeded and I got everything I've ever always wanted within this, right? I exited my company and I'm now a millionaire. But then also it's like I've now lost everything. I lost tons of relationships within the pest control industry, right? Like nobody, you know, barely anybody would want to talk to me and socialize with me. You know, and obviously I lost all that. And so my ego was just like being destroyed, and the amount of shame I felt was crazy. And so obviously I'm moving forward from there. Like I keep, you know, I'm still dealing with the same stuff though. There's still the same traumas. There's still the same depression, anxiety. So I keep just chugging along, right? Because like that's what we do. I'll just keep pushing. I'll do it all over again. Like I'm going to keep building, right? Like just boom, 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 chugging. Basically at this point, I'm doing everything possible within my power, then dealing with what I have going on inside of me, right? Like everything I can do externally versus dealing with everything that's internal, right? And so I keep trying to focus on building and building the next business, right? Which is Global Ventures. I start putting that together. You know, I find my first partnership with Peach Pesco, and we start plugging that away. I'm engaged. I'm getting married, right? So
dang,
like all
dude,
these,
I didn't know that. Congrats.
Well, let me get to that. So all these things are happening that are good at the same time, but it's like I'm still not dealing with the real issues. And so like nothing's really being fixed, right? Like I'm still drinking, like maybe still taking substances. I'm trying to kind of, you know, figure myself out and maybe being a little bit better, but like really like nothing had changed yet. Like I'm still kind of chugging along, just trying to push forward. And, you know, I get married and everything seems great. And 8 months later, you know, with alcohol as well, too, being in part of the situation, being a catalyst, everything blows up. And next thing I know, my wife leaves me and we're separated. And that moment there, finally, it all just broke. And the floodgates opened. And, losing that relationship on top of then losing everything else was just like this catalyst that finally just let this depression just be released inside of me. And it hit me like a truck. Like, I mean, it was hard. And that moment, that was the moment where I decided like, enough is enough. Like, I have to change. And I quit drinking, quit substances, everything right there at that day in April of 2023. And so I think 2023, yeah. And so now I'm 3 years, no alcohol.
Dang, man, that's
over
awesome.
3 years, no alcohol, which has been huge. And that was so important because all this time with all these things that had happened, these substances were basically helping me numb from feeling all this stuff and like really dealing with the emotions of everything. And so now being sober, like I felt everything with such intensity. And the depression was so real. Started working with a therapist and like really dealing with these things. And man, game changer. Like just slowly just starting to build the pieces back. I started doing these retreats every year, and to be honest, like we're doing psilocybin ceremonies once a year.
I don't know what that is.
So it's the mushrooms, right?
Oh,
so you
okay.
take the mushrooms and you're in the ceremonial setting in Costa Rica and stuff. And my gosh, like just they call it ego death, but it's just like, every year I've done these things and it's just been amazing, just like changed my life every single time.
So like self-discovery, you're like, this is like therapy. It's not going to get high. It's
no. Yeah, it's complete therapy. I mean, you're accessing these, this information that's locked into your brain, whether that's through ancestral, DNA or genetics or these things and these stories and these beliefs. And you're able to like sit with these things and visit and have conversations with people in your life that maybe aren't around anymore and see things and deal with things in a different light. And really like a lot of what that did is it destroyed my ego and broke it down into a place where it was like, I realized like everything I was chasing, like wasn't the most important things. And really, what I needed to chase was like love and compassion and family and friends and community and relationships. And so it changed completely how I've approached running businesses. Like, yeah, there's goals and there's numbers, right? And I want to achieve things and I want to strive for things, but like I'm okay with doing it slowly, like brick by brick, little bit over time, right? Like with Arusa, like we were growing so fast and like that was the thing, like just grow at all costs, like grow, and it's like now, like I just approach things much slower and I'm cool with it taking 20 years or 30 years to get there. And so it changes how the conversations I have with my people and my team. It changes the approach we have. It changes our goals and our settings, and it reduces the level of stress enormously, right? It's like, the patience that I have now for building these things is enormous, which just makes it so much easier and less stressful. And all my team is happy and no one's running around stressed out, like trying to make things happen, like, because we're going to make it happen and it's going to happen, but it's going to take time.
I can't help but think this underlying message that probably I need to learn too is we need to spend more time asking ourselves why. We need to be like little kids, when you're like, hey, go to your room. Why? Because I said why, right? Because if we're not careful, dude, and this is true of me too. This is totally me. It's like there's something going on and we ask ourselves maybe like 10 layers of why. And maybe because sometimes I wonder, because sometimes I don't know, why am I doing this? Like, I don't have to do this. Why am I trying to scale so fast? And there's some good reasons. Mm-hmm. There are also some really bad reasons. And it's like, eventually they'll surface. Am I doing this, for the listener? Are you wanting to scale really quickly because you care that much about what other people think of you? That's definitely true of me at different points in my life. It's like I was doing it to be cool on social media or whatever. It's like dude, that's bad. Right? Like what's the perspective? Because eventually that stuff catches up with you. Eventually, because if you do it for those types of reasons, then you can be dishonest and you can treat people poorly, and because that doesn't have anything to do with your why. Your why is like, hey, I'm impressing other people. Like, I just want to make money at all costs, whatever. So, for the listener, even if you're sure of what it is, dig in, spend some time. And I think the cool thing is that life, it has this way of helping us uncover stuff. So
Yeah.
you can choose whether you're doing it on your own and deliberately, or you get to the point where life does it for you and you have to go through that process, man.
Yeah.
I
I feel like it's so easy for us to just you're chugging along, right? You're pushing forward, you're achieving goals, you're trying to hit numbers, you're trying to be who you think you need to be within the pest control industry or within any industry to put your stamp on things, right? And yeah, you can get so far down the road that you now forget why you're even doing it in the first place, or the things you're chasing aren't even really the meaningful things anymore, right? It's like, man, I'm trying to be in the top 100 pest control companies so badly that you're neglecting all your time at home, or you're neglecting your time with your family, or your kids are, that you're never there to show up for school events or sporting events because you're plugging away, trying to grow the business. Like, yeah, maybe those things are important, but I think it's so easy to kind of get lost in the sauce the farther down the whole, the rabbit hole you get.
Sure.
Versus, and for me, it was like one of those things where, man, all these things that happen, and they're all very unfortunate things, and they're very hard things to deal with. But like a mentor of mine told me, he's like, nothing would have ever changed for you if these things didn't happen, and you needed the change to happen. So the only way for you to get the change that you needed was for all these things to happen, no matter how bad they were. And so when I look at it that way, it's like, man, yeah, it really sucked dealing with all that, but like I would never change it for the world. Like, I had to go through all these hard things. Yeah.
Sucks going through it, but then you're like, it's weird for me to say this, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah. I mean, my life is completely different now. My mindset's completely different. And I'm very more focused on what relationships I'm developing and how I'm developing and nurturing those relationships now. And I don't need to have, relationships with everyone. I don't need to put myself out there so much like I tried to do before, trying to fill some holes or fill my ego. Now it's like, I'm going to be much more methodical about the relationships I'm developing within the industry and the ones I'm nurturing. And I think there's a group of people that I'm around, and you're one of them, that it's like, man, it's amazing. And it's special when we all like care about each other and want to see each other do well, and it's like, I needed to kind of strip myself away from that ego of wanting to be this person so high up in the industry that everyone knew me, because that didn't really suit me. And the stress and anxiety I had from trying to be that person, it was ruining me, Yeah,
dude. I'm just sitting here thinking how much I appreciate you, man, coming on here, being real and raw, because there's people that need to hear what we've talked about. I'm one of them for sure. Yeah. Where it's dude,
I appreciate you, man. I mean, I appreciate you having me. And I think one of the best things that's happened from this too is there's, been a handful of people that have reached out and said, look, man, I heard your story on a podcast that I did. I did one with Jonas that was pretty real as well too. And I shared some stuff on social media as well. And some people actually reached out and said that they finally made a decision to quit alcohol as well too. And they're now a year or 2 years into being sober from alcohol, and it's been life-changing. And it's like, man, that stuff, like, it's worth it all,
It's just reaching people at a different level. That's so hard because it's like taboo to talk about. It's people don't want to hear about our struggles. Like, they think less of us when we talk about it or whatever. At least that's what we think. And then we share it, and then people are like, even though their situation is different, the listener, that I'm talking to right now, their situation's different. Maybe it's not substance. Maybe it's something else. Maybe maybe they're addicted to work. Maybe it's gambling. Maybe it's whatever, right? One of those vices. But let's create this culture where you have an outlet and you can talk about it without being judged. You know?
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many demons that I battle that I don't talk about very much. And I feel like if I was a little better example, I could do so much more. And I just think it's cool that people they're changing because of your story, right? So that that legacy of it like becoming a good thing, you're turning something bad into something good it's expanding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, we're so, hell bent on exploring this journey by ourselves and like holding all these things to ourselves and like not wanting to, dump some of this burden on anybody because, we're men or, we're business owners. Like it all stops with us, but it's like, dude, we all need somebody to rely on. We need some people to talk to. And I mean, everyone's probably feeling a lot of the same stuff. I mean, running businesses is stressful. We're all dealing with the same problems and we have a hard time, expressing that type of stress and dealing with that anxiety. And a lot of times we deal with it the wrong way, and it's like, unless we can really sit with those feelings and feel those things, then it's like, we're never going to really be able to solve or deal with it appropriately to where we can heal from it and grow from it.
Yeah. No, it's just like kicking it down the road. So, well, here's the thing, man. I'm making a commitment to, create more space. I'm definitely going to do it within the Bug Bux Facebook group and then also within the Bug Bux Plus school group where it just becomes this thing where we can reach out to each other. The Real Pest World that we're doing now, that's a great outlet. And I've talked a lot about having those networks, and I don't care if they're associated with Bug Bux or not, because there's a lot of great ones out there that don't have anything to do with Bug Bux. Join them, become a part of them. You need that outlet, and it helps to have somebody. Obviously, a lot of that should be coming from the home, your relationships there, family, friends, things like that. But there's something special that happens when it's like, I talk about my technicians or I talk about issues with partnerships or vendors or whatever. And people are like, oh yeah, I know how that goes. Right? It's like, it's a little different because they understand, we understand. So, well, dude, this has been awesome. I wanted to freaking go for another 30 minutes. But we'll do it again. It's been too long. I don't remember when the last time we jumped on together, but I'm going to make a post about it. I'm going to find out when it was and make a post about it in the group. But welcome back, bro. I know it's been a while, but
yeah, man.
This is kind of our first conversation, so glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me back. I'm glad to be back on the Bug Bux. It's feels full circle, man.
Well, just for the record, you invented the name, bro. You came up with it.
Yeah. I know. I love it.
So
I loved watching what you guys have done with it too, man. It's been even exciting to watch, even though I'm not a part of it, but it's just like, man, it's cool to see what you've built with this and with the Real Pest World and all that stuff. And sure. I'm just excited to see what you keep doing with it.
No, man. I appreciate it, dude. We'll have to have you at Bug Bux Con in San Diego, February 24th to the 26th. We're going to start selling tickets soon, so be on the lookout for that. And, man, I hope this hit your feels today. I really do. I hope that you do something about it. I hope you tell somebody about it, because when you do, think of how Solomon's words have impacted you today. You have that same effect on people, so make sure you do that. Thanks for joining me, Solomon, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bux podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.